This fighter just declared war on 2 entire divisions, and what he's planning is absolutely insane.
Justin Gaethje or Paddy Pimblett for the interim champion, but he didn't choose him. They chose Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett. Justin Gaethje beat Paddy Pimblett, so by law, according to the Westland Gangster and RCW 3 10 16 12 4, the interim champion should be fighting Ilia Topuria next, and that's a fight that needs to happen. And then after that,
Arman isn't just talking about his next fight. He's orchestrating a complete takeover of the UFC's lightweight and featherweight divisions, and the way he's doing it is pure psychological warfare. When he stepped into that octagon and dismantled Justin Gaethje, that wasn't just a win. That was a statement. A declaration that said every single fighter in the top 5 better start watching their backs, because this isn't some contender begging for scraps. This is a predator who's identified his prey and is methodically hunting them down. The victory over Gaethje wasn't luck, wasn't a fluke, wasn't even just skill. It was calculated dominance from a fighter who's been studying the blueprint for championship-level destruction.
Раз, вернулся. Сумасшедшая прокачка пресса. Новое дело.
Я как-нибудь другой раз попробую.
Я с турником на «вы». Уважение. Да. Вот отжимание получше.
boom, boom, boom. He puts his arm in. Here, boom, 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 and then whap. You can do that, Ken.
No?
Yes, for the right training program, we get you right where you need to be.
Yeah.
Okay. You want some water?
No, brother, I just started.
Okay. 40, okay? Give me some respect. Give
And is he the hottest guy right now? I don't see anybody controlling the media as well as Tsarukyan.
But here's where it gets absolutely wild. Tsarukyan isn't waiting for the UFC to hand him opportunities. He's creating them. While other fighters sit around hoping Dana White notices them, Arman is out here calling shots like he's already the champion. He's talking about dropping to 145 pounds, talking about facing the winner of Gaethje versus Gaethje, talking like a man who believes the entire sport revolves around his timeline. And you know what's crazy? He might be right. Because when you look at how he's positioning himself, this isn't desperation. This is strategic brilliance. He's forcing the UFC's hand by making himself impossible to ignore.
This guy's eating. It looks fun. It looks really fun. But Tsarukyan has now made headlines. Tsarukyan works with Coach Cal. That's a piece of the story because Tsarukyan came out yesterday and said, I'm the #1 contender.
Now listen to this part because this is what separates pretenders from champions. The mental warfare Tsarukyan is unleashing right now goes way deeper than trash talk or social media posts. He's not just building hype. He's building an empire of expectation. Every interview, every training video, every calculated statement is designed to make fans, media, and the UFC itself believe that he's inevitable. That's not confidence. That's psychological domination. He's making everyone else react to him instead of the other way around. And the scariest part? It's working. Fighters are already talking about him, analysts are already debating his title chances, and fans are already buying into the narrative that he's the future of these divisions.
Fights, they conquer narratives.
They become real. Like if somebody took him up on that offer, if Volkanovski or Lopez calls him out and says, you're next, and the UFC goes for him, and I'm just sharing for you, like, once it's said, it becomes a thing. And so he laid out as part of his statement, right? And one of the reasons I think he is serious is because...
Here's the kicker, though. This two-division strategy isn't just about having options. It's about creating chaos. Think about it. If you're the lightweight champion, you're looking over your shoulder at Arman. If you're the featherweight champion, same thing. He's literally making himself a problem for 2 entire weight classes simultaneously. That's not normal contender behavior. That's champion-level thinking. He's not asking for a title shot. He's demanding the UFC acknowledge that he's already operating on championship time. And the beautiful part is, by being willing to cut to 145, he's proving he'll sacrifice anything to get what he wants.
Breaks everything down and calories in, calories out, and monitors your workouts. I'm just sharing for you that. What do you think of that? I mean, this kind of went wild online. my own phone.
But wait, it gets even more calculated than that. Tsarukyan is weaponizing ambition itself. While other fighters train their bodies, he's training the entire sport to revolve around his narrative. Every time he mentions switching divisions, every time he calls out multiple opponents, he's not just staying relevant. He's making himself the center of every championship conversation. The UFC brass are probably sitting in meetings right now trying to figure out how to book this guy, because he's created so much buzz that ignoring him would be leaving money on the table. That's not luck. That's a master class in self-promotion disguised as competitive hunger.
Lopez has his hands full with Volkanovski. I'm just sharing with you, when you go out and you make some claim like I'm going to drop to a different weight class and I'm going to fight for a title. Okay, great. Can you get a headline? Is that something that people believe and that people are interested in? Check and check. He had those boxes. A next step, but it's a much higher step, is to get the guy with the belt.
And get this, the way he's approaching this comeback isn't just about winning fights. It's about proving a point that goes way deeper than records and rankings. When he talks about being ready for anyone at 155 or 145, he's not making predictions. He's making promises. Promises that he's going to dismantle whatever champion is brave enough to face him. The confidence isn't manufactured for the cameras. This is a fighter who's looked at the landscape of both divisions and genuinely believes he's already better than everyone wearing gold. That kind of self-belief either makes you a legend or destroys you completely. And based on what we saw against Geithch, Tsarukyan is betting everything on becoming a legend.
Things to think. Like, wow, Tsarukyan. And it's really fun to take a guy and put him in a different weight class. And you can go either way. You can move him up, you can move him down. It's a really...
Hold up, did you catch what's really happening behind all this division-switching talk? This isn't just about weight cuts or matchmaking. This is about a fighter who's realized that modern championship runs aren't built on waiting your turn. They're built on making yourself impossible to deny. Tsarukyan watched Conor McGregor demand fights and get them. He watched fighters like Chael Sonnen talk their way into title shots. And he's applying that blueprint with the skills to actually back it up. The difference is, when Arman talks about dominating two divisions, he's not selling wolf tickets. He's got the resume, the momentum, and the killer instinct to actually pull it off.
On what you think about that, because in many ways, does it solve a problem? Sure it does. We acknowledge in this sport, Arman is the number one contender. We acknowledge in this sport that Arman should be fighting for a world title. So how are we going to do it? Just move down to 145. Well, but we also acknowledge that Lerone Murphy should be fighting for a title. We acknowledge that
You think the divisions are jammed? You're missing.
Now here's what nobody else is talking about. The psychological impact this is having on the actual champions. Imagine being Islam Makhachev or Alexander Volkanovski sitting at the top of your division, and there's this guy publicly declaring that your belt belongs to him, that your reign is temporary, that he's already planning your downfall. That gets in your head. Champions are used to challengers respecting them, at least publicly. But Tsarukyan is treating these title holders like obstacles he's already figured out how to remove. That's not disrespect. That's the mindset of someone who's already visualized himself wearing the gold.
Could be fighting for a title. So as jammed up as they are at 55 with 3 potential options, if Arman goes to 45, now they're jammed up with 3 potential options. I'm just wondering, like, what do you think about that? Do you believe that a bigger guy in Arman, do you believe if he cuts down, he therefore takes precedent? Do you believe that? Because when Ilia Topuria,
But here's where it gets absolutely insane. The training footage, the interviews, the social media presence, none of it feels like promotion. It feels like preparation. Like we're watching a fighter who's already mentally made the transition from contender to champion and is just waiting for reality to catch up. When he talks about being in war mode, that's not hyperbole. That's a fighter who's rewired his entire existence around the singular goal of championship dominance. Most fighters train to win fights. Tsarukyan is training to end careers, to make statements so definitive that nobody questions his place at the top.
proved yourself here yet. Khabib himself said, we're not going to fight him. You're speaking for Islam. This is before Islam had left the way. He said, we're not going to fight this guy. Come and do something at 55. Do anything, but do it at 55, then call me. So what do you think? We're putting everything in reverse. Like yesterday when Arman said it, this got a great reception. Everybody loved it. Ariel loved it. I loved it. James Madison loved it. I mean, I'm just sharing.
Forget the noise, forget the callouts. The octagon doesn't respect your mouth, it respects your proof at 155. You think you can just skip the line in the lightweight?
The reality is what we're witnessing isn't just a comeback story. It's a hostile takeover. Tsarukyan isn't asking for permission to be great. He's announcing it. He's not requesting title shots. He's demanding them. And the most terrifying part for everyone else in these divisions, he's got the skills to cash every check his mouth is writing. This isn't some manufactured heel turn or publicity stunt. This is a legitimate killer who's decided that playing nice and waiting his turn is for fighters who don't truly believe they're destined for greatness.
But he's now created another dialogue. So the way this works is we've got to exhaust all options. And I like Arman's approach, by the way, if you want me to...
So here you have it. Arman Tsarukyan has declared war on 2 divisions, turned himself into the most dangerous contender in the sport, and is basically daring anyone to try and stop him. This isn't just confidence. This is a fighter who's looked at the championship landscape and decided it's time for new management. And honestly, based on what we've seen, he might be exactly right. The question isn't whether he deserves a title shot. The question is whether any champion is ready for what he's bringing to the table. Drop it in the comments. Do you think Tsarukyan becomes champion in 2024, or is this all just elite-level trash talk? If this breakdown showed you what's really happening with the most dangerous contender in the game, smash that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into the fights that matter, and hit the notification bell because this title picture is about to get absolutely wild. I'll see you in the next one.
I want to fight for a championship. I've never liked that approach more than a specific guy. Than a specific put your finger in the chest of Ilia Topuria. Oh, by the way, he happens to be champion. It happens to also be a championship opportunity. Boy, I hadn't even really thought of that. I just want to fight him. I find that personal grudge approach to be stronger. But Arman...
But you know what's even crazier about this whole situation? The timing of Tsarukyan's declaration couldn't be more perfect. Look at the landscape right now. Islam Makhachev is dealing with questions about his next opponent at lightweight. Volkanovski just went through that brutal knockout against Topuria and is figuring out his path back to the featherweight title. There's uncertainty at the top of both divisions, and Arman is stepping into that void like a shark sensing blood in the water. He's not just capitalizing on opportunity. He's creating it by positioning himself as the solution to every matchmaking problem the UFC has in these weight classes.
Than Ilia Topuria, just by example. I feel like this guy's red hot. He stumbled into something, by the way, with this feast.
Okay, pay attention. Ignore...
And let's talk about something that's flying completely under the radar. The way Tsarukyan dismantled Gietch wasn't just impressive because of the result. It was impressive because of how he did it. Justin Gietch is supposed to be the human wrecking ball, the guy who turns every fight into a war, the fighter who breaks people's will through pure violence. But Arman didn't just survive that storm, he redirected it. He made Gietch fight his fight on his terms at his pace. That's not just skill. That's championship-level fight IQ combined with the physical tools to execute at the highest level. If he can do that to Gietch, what does that say about his chances against anyone else?
Jam at 155, fine, I'll just go to 45 and fight for the belt. And I don't know how much he meant it.
Here's what's really blowing my mind about this whole campaign. Most fighters, when they start calling shots and making demands, they sound desperate. They sound like they're trying to convince themselves as much as everyone else. But when Tsarukyan talks about taking over these divisions, there's this calm certainty in his voice that's absolutely chilling. It's not bravado, it's not hype. It's the confidence of someone who's done the math, studied the tape, and concluded that he's simply better than everyone standing in his way. That kind of quiet confidence is what separates future legends from fighters who flame out under pressure.
A great job, he's in front of the media. But, and there is a but, I've never liked the idea of...
But wait, there's another layer to this that nobody's really dissecting. The way Arman is handling this comeback psychologically is next-level brilliant. He's not just fighting opponents, he's fighting the narrative that his career was derailed. Remember, this is a guy who was supposed to get a title shot years ago, who got caught up in visa issues and political drama that had nothing to do with his skills inside the octagon. Lesser fighters would be bitter, would be talking about what they deserved, would be making excuses. But Tsarukyan is using that setback as fuel. He's not dwelling on what should have been, he's creating what will be. That's championship mentality right there. And can we talk about the technical evolution we're seeing? Because this isn't just the same Arman Tsarukyan who was climbing the rankings before. This is a refined, polished, absolutely lethal version of that fighter. The wrestling is tighter, the striking is more precise, and most importantly, the killer instinct is fully activated. You could see it in his eyes against Geith. This wasn't just about winning a fight. This was about making a statement that would echo through both divisions. Every technique, every exchange, every moment was calculated to send a message that the old guard better start preparing for retirement. Now here's where it gets really interesting from a business perspective. The UFC loves fighters who can generate buzz, who can sell pay-per-views, who can create storylines that casual fans can get excited about. But they love fighters who can do all of that and deliver inside the octagon even more. Tsarukyan is giving them the complete package. He's got the skills to back up every word he says, the personality to make people care about his fights, and the strategic thinking to position himself as must-see television. Dana White and the UFC brass are probably salivating over the possibilities this creates for both lightweight and featherweight title pictures. But let's dig into something that's absolutely fascinating about his approach to this two-division strategy. Most fighters who talk about moving between weight classes do it because they're looking for easier fights or better matchups. That's not what's happening here. Tsarukyan is essentially saying he's so confident in his abilities that he doesn't care which collection of killers he has to go through, he'll beat them all. That's not strategic positioning. That's a fighter who genuinely believes he's operating on a different level than everyone else in both divisions. The scary part? He might be right. And here's something that's going to blow your mind when you really think about it. The psychological warfare isn't just affecting current champions and contenders. It's affecting how future opponents are going to prepare for him. When fighters know they might face Arman Tsarukyan, they can't just prepare for one specific style or approach. They have to prepare for a fighter who's proven he can adapt, who can solve problems mid-fight, who can impose his will on anyone regardless of their reputation or ranking. That uncertainty, that inability to pin down exactly what version of Tsarukyan they'll face, is already giving him an advantage before he even steps into the octagon. Think about this for a second. We're watching a masterclass in modern fight promotion, but it's not coming from some manufactured persona or scripted trash talk. This is authentic hunger from a fighter who's tasted what it's like to be on the verge of greatness and is absolutely refusing to let anything stand between him and championship gold. The interviews, the callouts, the training footage, none of it feels forced because it's not. This is just who Arman Tsarukyan is right now. A fighter who's decided that being polite and waiting his turn is for people who don't truly believe they're destined to be champion. But here's what's really separating this campaign from typical contender noise. The specificity. When Tsarukyan talks about facing certain opponents, he's not just throwing out names for attention. He's breaking down exactly why those fights make sense, exactly how he'd approach them, exactly what the outcome would be. That level of detailed confidence isn't something you can fake. It comes from hours of study, hours of visualization, hours of preparation for scenarios that haven't even been booked yet. He's not hoping for these opportunities. He's preparing for the inevitability of them. And let's talk about the ripple effect this is having throughout both divisions. Other contenders are starting to realize that the landscape has shifted. They're not just competing against each other for title shots anymore. They're competing against a fighter who's made himself relevant in two different weight classes simultaneously. That changes everything. It changes how they approach their own careers, how they position themselves, how they think about their path to championship gold. Tsarukyan hasn't just declared war on the champions. He's forced every contender to acknowledge that the game has changed. Now here's something absolutely crucial that most people are missing. The way Arman is handling media obligations and public appearances right now is championship-level professionalism with a killer's edge. He's not getting caught up in petty drama or social media beef. Every word, every appearance, every statement is laser-focused on the goal: championship gold. That kind of disciplined focus, combined with his obvious skills, is what separates future champions from fighters who get distracted by the circus around the sport. He's treating this like a business, and business is about to be very good. But wait, there's an even deeper psychological element at play here that's absolutely brilliant. By positioning himself as a threat to two divisions, Tsarukyan is forcing the UFC to view him as a solution to multiple problems. Need a fresh challenger for the lightweight title? Arman's ready. Want to shake up the featherweight division? Arman can make that cut. Looking for a fighter who can generate buzz and deliver performance? Arman checks every box. He's not just asking for opportunities. He's making himself indispensable to the UFC's plans for both weight classes. And can we appreciate the level of sacrifice this requires? Cutting from lightweight to featherweight isn't just about losing weight. It's about completely restructuring your training, your nutrition, your entire physical preparation. The fact that Tsarukyan is willing to put his body through that kind of transformation shows you exactly how serious he is about this championship pursuit. This isn't a fighter who's looking for the easy path. This is someone who's willing to do whatever it takes, sacrifice whatever is necessary, endure whatever hardship is required to achieve greatness. Here's what's really mind-blowing about the technical aspects of his game right now. We're seeing a fighter who's managed to maintain the wrestling base that got him to the top level while developing striking that can hang with the best in the world. That combination is absolutely lethal because it means opponents can't focus their preparation on stopping one specific aspect of his game. They have to prepare for everything, which means they can't master any specific defensive approach. It's like trying to solve a puzzle where the pieces keep changing shape. But let's talk about something that's flying completely under the radar in all this championship talk. The way Tsarukyan is handling pressure right now is giving us a preview of how he'd handle the pressure of actually being champion. Most fighters crumble when expectations get high, when everyone's watching, when the spotlight gets bright. But Arman seems to be thriving in it. The bigger the stage gets, the more confident he becomes. The more people doubt him, the more motivated he appears. That's not normal human psychology, that's champion psychology. And here's the kicker that nobody's really talking about: the longevity factor. Tsarukyan is entering his prime years with the experience of someone who's been tested at the highest level, but without the accumulated damage of someone who's been in wars for a decade. He's got the perfect combination of youth, experience, and hunger. That's a terrifying combination for anyone who's planning to hold onto championship gold for the next few years. This isn't just about one title run. This is about a fighter who could potentially dominate for years to come.